Call halal Yahweh Bashem Abishai Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors unto my apostles and elders. Salutations unto all my fellow laborers that do this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so. Once again, call halal Yahweh Bashem Abishai Bahashem Rakakwadash. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson. This is very sensitive information. This is a video that I came across from Israeli News Live. This is Stephen Ben-Nun, an Israeli convert. This bill is basically one that's coming against, it's an anti-Semitism bill. And basically it doesn't define itself clearly on what anti-Semitism is. They made up and created the word, and then they made up and created the definition. I'm going to prove that through scripture and history. All right, because I wish I had a 200-year-old or 100-year-old Bible, because dictionary, because I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, if you can get books, these old actually I do have one book here that goes back to how old is this book? This is Henrik Gratz. I think this is from the 1800s. Original print, 1893. All right, this is Henrik Gratz, History of the Jews of 1893. You can't see the size, so you can hear here. All right, 1893. This was a copyright. Hold on, let me find it. From the reign of Hyrcanus to the completion of Babylon. Yeah, copyright 1893. There it is. Just waiting for that to damn it. It's hard to do that with one hand. There it is. All right. Now when you go to the glossary of this book, just to prove a point, in any of these books, this is a 5-series book. These are Shatia's book. This is the only one that I held on to because I gave the other ones back, because this one had all the juicy information in that I wanted to use. But I go to where, to the S in the index in the glossary, and the one word that you don't find in here is Semitic. You know why? Because the ADL and all these other Jewish leagues weren't created yet. So that word hadn't been created yet. That word hadn't been added to dictionaries and encyclopedias and that whole sort of thing. All right. So you go to the Bible. This is Deuteronomy, the 10th chapter. And let's read about the sons of Shem, the Shemitic races. All right. Shem, spelled S-H-E-M, Shem. This is Genesis 10 and 21. Unto Shem, also the father of all the children of Eber, and Eber is basically Ibar, which means, which basically goes back to the word Hebrew. All right. The brother of Japheth, the elder, even to him were children born. The children of Shem were Elam, all right, that's the so-called Indians today, Ashur, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. Now I forget exactly which of the Ishmaelite and Arab nations that these are, okay? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all right? And then when you add in the two sons of Lot, that's Ammon and Moab. Those are two more Ishmaelite nations, because Ammon and Moab are sons of Lot, who is a nephew of Abraham, of Abraham, who also were Hebrews. All right, because it tells you quite frankly, Abram the Hebrew. You know, I believe that's in Genesis. Yeah, Hebrews. I'm sorry, Hebrews. Genesis 14 and 12 and 13. Actually, I'm gonna start at 12. And they took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed. And there came one that had escaped, and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre, the Ammonite brother of Ishcal, the brother of Aner, and these were confederate with Abram. So Abram was a Hebrew, meaning his brother was a Hebrew, which meant that his flesh of his flesh, bone of his bone, his nephew, all right, was also a Hebrew. Because you got to remember, an uncle and his nephew, the son of your brother, you came from the same waters. All right? You and your brother came out of the same waters, your father's sperm. And so your brother's sons are also from the same waters. So your brother's sons are very close relatives, almost like sons themselves unto you. Why? Because your brother is from the same waters that you are from. That's why there's a law in the Bible, all right, that if a brother dies having no children, that his brother that's alive is to go into his wife to raise up children unto him. Why? Because you're the same sperm line, you're the same waters. All right. So right there alone, we just counted 7 Hebrew nations here. All right. Elam, Ashur, Arphaxad, Lud, Aram. All right. And then when you count Ammon and Moab to that, that's a couple more to that equation. So you can't single out, and then of course when you add Edom and Israel, they came out of the same waters. Those are your Hebrew nations there, man. Okay, so you can't single out one group of Shemitic people and then change the whole definition and the way the word is spelled and then make it out to be one race of people. All right, because Ishmael, who the majority of the Arabs came out of, is also a Hebrew. Okay, that was Isaac's son Ishmael. All right, Ishmael and Isaac. I mean, not Isaac, but Abraham's son Ishmael. All right, so Isaac and Ishmael came out of the same waters, making them both Shemitic. And then Isaac gave, Ishmael had 12 sons, and then Isaac had 2 sons. He had Jacob and Esau and Jacob. All right, so those are all Shemitic races. So you can't take it and make one race of people out of this. Okay, so let's go to this is now the Winston Simplified Dictionary, Encyclopedic Edition, 1929, and let's go look up the word Shem. All right, because they got the word Semitic in here too. All right, but you go back, that's why I gotta get my hands on some older dictionaries just to prove that word is not even in there. We couldn't find it in the glossary of any of my old books. You can't find the word. Why? Because it didn't exist yet, because it was newly created. That's part of that new speak. They created a word and then gave it a definition. All right? And they're pretty much going to admit that in this video. But I do know Semitic is in here, but let's go find Shemitic. All right? And see what the Winston says. All right? And then we're going to Shemites. Shem and Shemite. It says, the ancestor of the Semites. See, I told you we'll be in here. Noah's eldest son, ancestor of the Semites. So he's just one. It says a Shemite, a descendant of Shem, one of a Caucasian race. All so-called Caucasians are Shemites because they're the sons of Edom, Idumea, all right, the Edomites. Okay, he's not one; they're all. Okay, including the Jews, Arabs, ancient Assyrians, and then they got Babylonians. They're going out. Babylonians were Hamites, sons of Ham, so-called Africans. So they really messed that up, and then they both. So let's put the definition up so it can be read through the camera, just to solidify. Wait for it to focus. All right, so you can pause it and read it. You see, they lied and put Babylonians in there, and Babylonians were sons of Ham. Those were Hamitic people. All right. So now we've pretty much proven that word through this 1893 history of the Jews, the word Semite is Semitic isn't in that book. All right, and we proved that there are a minimum of 8 Hebrew nations on the earth today. Now let's listen to this lie, because look, a lie, the truth does not need. Ooh, battery's weak. Let's finish this up. The truth does not need a lie to protect it, or a law to protect it, I should say. Truth doesn't need laws to protect it. The truth is the truth.
Reverend Pike, you have just published on your website today an emergency alert about the Anti-Semitism Awareness Bill, which is worse than the Equality Bill. We also share that on our website, IsraeliNewsLive.org, but Reverend Pike, if you would, can you tell us about what's going on with this latest news that you're bringing out?
Yes, well, thank you so much, Stephen. First, I'd just like briefly to express my appreciation and congratulate Equality Bill.
Okay, for time's sake, because I don't want my battery to die, what he does is goes in how professors and college students can be prosecuted and actually face felony charges and jail time for not insulting anyone that's Semitic, but just by questioning them, by bringing up, you know, how we always say that the facts of the stories that they tell, that they propagate, don't add up. All right, and if you point those things out, you don't have to say anything derogatory toward them. You can just question what they're saying, what they claim to be true. You can just question or even present evidence that it's not true, and you could be jailed. So let's go to right here, right around here.
Passed a resolution which is not binding as law, nevertheless supporting the IHRC definition and its 11 examples. At Kufi's Night to Honor Israel, they become repeat offenders. Unfortunately, the U.S. State Department has now adopted the IHRC definition of anti-Semitism and its 11 examples as U.S. policy. It is doing its best to convince other nations to follow suit.
Now, he does say, too, that they created the definition in this video. It's called Congress Prepares to Debate Another Bill Attacking Free Speech. And you can find it on Israeli News Live. Okay, so they created the definition, but let's let them continue.
Congress also passed a resolution which is not binding as law, nevertheless supporting the IHRC definition and its 11 examples. At Kufi's Night to Honor Israel in early July, Hagee said, quote, "We need to fight this evil darkness until it is destroyed in our college campuses, Congress, in our churches, in our colleges and universities across our nation." Vice President Pence and Republican Senator Ted Cruz also encouraged the Kufi lobbyists with exhortation of no tolerance for anti-Semitism. So here is the International Holocaust Remembrance Coalition definition of anti-Semitism.
So that's around the time when that word was created, all right? When that organization was put together.
Quote, anti-Semitism is a certain perception of Jews which may be expressed as hatred toward Jews. Rhetorical, meaning speech, rhetorical and physical manifestations of anti-Semitism are directed toward Jewish and non-Jewish individuals and or their property, toward Jewish community, institution, and religious facilities. Now, end quote. Now, there are at least three glaring problems that leap out from this definition. All three impact Christianity negatively. Problem one. First, it asserts that any criticism that has a history or potential of creating persecution, violence, harassment, or emotional trauma, in other words, intimidation against Jews or Israel, is anti-Semitic. The New Testament's Christ killers charge, ADL contends, is the single greatest cause of anti-Semitism and persecution of Jews.
You heard
for
that?
the last 2,000
So if you
years.
believe in the Bible,
Such lies,
that's anti-Semitism.
quote-unquote lies, ADL says, led to a climate of European anti-Semitism resulting in the Holocaust. Under this definition, eventually the New Testament could be banned as hate literature.
There it is. So, like I said, the truth doesn't need laws to protect it. All right? That's how you know that these people are not the people and time is getting short. They're getting desperate. Call halal Yahweh Shalom Shai by Hashem Rakak Wadash. Wa Abba Babal.